Well, hey crafty friends, it's Hiedi Scott with DiyDreaming, and on this video tutorial, we are going to make button bracelets. I am super excited about this. I'm going to do my very best to show you step by step and give you all the details. I will lift everything up as I'm going along so that you can get a close-up view. And if you're enjoying it, feel free to sprinkle, feel free to ask questions, all that good stuff. Okay, so what do we need? Well, first thing is you need a chain or a pre-made bracelet, but those are hard to find. So a chain will work just fine. It could be something like this, Hiedi and Joe from Joann's, or it could be something like this. You're going to also need something to close it. And I think toggles, what does it say? Toggle clasp. I think those are the easiest ones to get on and off. So I'm going to be using toggle clasps to close the bracelet. And then you're going to need a variety of sizes of jump rings. And I'll show you how to open and close them. These do come in a lot of different sizes, a lot of different thicknesses. And honestly, I prefer the largest, thickest that I can get. I bought these 3 items yesterday at Joann's for around $12. And I could make a lot of different bracelets with this. Okay, so then you're gonna need some buttons. And I think it is easiest to work for this style of a bracelet, box open, with the ones that have a shank. Let me show you one. Oops. Okay, here's a really, really little shank. Here's a bigger shank. They could be bent a little bit, it doesn't matter. I find that on that style of button, they frequently are kind of bent. So you're going to need a variety of buttons, and today I'm going to do a bracelet that is white mother of pearl combined with some metal. This one's going to be flower themed, so these buttons all have kind of a flower motif to them. And let's talk about the start of it. Okay, first thing is you need to measure your wrist, or whoever you might be making it for, to figure out what size is going to work for them. These bracelets here that I have made are all about 9 inches long total. So I'm using this chain today. I have cut it to be 8 inches long because when I add my toggles on either side, that will increase the total size. And if you find that it's too big or too small, you can always add a couple of links into it. So let's go ahead and do the toggle first. And I'm going to use some of these slightly more decorative ones that I have, that I've had kicking around forever. And I'm using my old and good, what did I say? These are called jump rings. Okay, so when you're working with a jump ring, you're gonna wanna have some jewelry pliers. And you're just going to, gosh, this is gonna be hard for me to see. You're gonna just kind of twist it open. Can you see that? And then I'm going to thread it on the end of my bracelet, and I'm going to put this end of the toggle clasp on. If you already make jewelry, you know, this part of this video is going to be stuff that you all know because this is basic. Okay, so now my bracelet has a toggle on one end, and let's do the other end. Way. So I'm holding it, and I'm just going to bend it open. I'm going to put this on the other end of my bracelet, and put this end of the toggle clasp on. going to bend it back. And you can see right here, it's not perfectly closed, but these are strong enough. They're not gonna, it's not gonna fall off. Okay, so here is my bracelet. All right, and yesterday when I did the introduction, I was telling you guys that your bracelets can have anywhere between 16 and 20, 22, 24-ish buttons on them. It just depends on how fully loaded you want it to be. It can have a variety of sizes, colors, materials, and I have some laid out right here, which darn, you can't see. Let's see if I can get it. It's right here. It's just barely out of view. Okay, let me scooch it. I like to lay these out beforehand, so I kind of have an idea, and I'm just doing a very basic alternation between silver, white. I'm using the mother of pearls with shanks, and sometimes they have little shanks and sometimes they have bigger shanks. And the metal ones, the shank is really sort of built in. Can you see that? Okay, so let me count. How many do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 17. I have 17 here. Just thinking. I'm just going to go with 17. Can you guys see what I'm pointing at? Okay, then what you want to do is find the center of your bracelet where the chain is. And that's where your center button is going to be. Okay, I'm going to say this one is my center. So let me go ahead and grab a bunch of jump rings. Okay, do you want to know where you can find the supplies? Let me tell you that. I have, these I've had for a very long time, but you can find jewelry making supplies all over the place. Everywhere from different craft stores to Etsy, Amazon. You don't need to purchase any supplies that are actual sterling silver or actual gold, because the focus in this bracelet is the buttons, not the hardware. Okay, and so I have this jump ring ready to go, and I'm going to put, ooh, is this going to be too fat? No, it's perfect. I'm going to put my button through, whoops. Okay, let me measure again. Make sure I'm centered. Once you get the first button on, it's easy peasy. And if you can buy a bracelet that already has a clasp on it, that's going to make it even easier. But it's not necessary, and it will be less expensive if you do that yourself. These bigger ones are slightly harder to bend. Okay. So there we go, we have our first item on. Now I'm just going to work out on each side. Wow, these are super hard to bend. I need a smaller one to go in this. we go. Are you guys seeing how totally easy this is? And it doesn't look great yet, but it will look great when it's all loaded up. So let's do the other side. Good morning, everyone. What do you guys think so far? I don't know if this is boring to watch me do this, like it is to watch painting, you know, a surface. I hope not. We may not do the whole entire thing. I just want to give you the gist of it. Okay, now our bracelet has a centerpiece and two, let's use these smaller ones, two silver buttons on it. If you've been watching DiyDreaming for any amount of time, then you probably know that I absolutely love buttons. I almost incorporate buttons in almost every single craft project that I do. I want to tell you that you can find buttons all over the place if you aren't one of those blessed people who inherited their mother or their grandmother or their great aunt's button jar. I was not one of those people. So you can look at flea markets, antique shows, antique stores, garage sales. You can ask around. They can be absolutely any style or color that you want. I like to mix. See, look, it's getting pretty already. I do like to mix, you know, metal in with. On this, okay, I got a great question. Do I put it on every single link? I'm going to put it on every single link. And then when I get out to the edge, if I need to add a couple more, I will. But that's personal preference. You do it what appeals to you. And the first few button bracelets I made, like 8 or 10 years ago, I was making them and having so much fun and selling them to the teachers at my son's middle school. I made bracelets and then I didn't like them, and so I'd take the whole thing apart and start over. So you'll figure out what appeals to you as you go along, and you can just untwist these little jump rings and take everything off and start over if you want. Cannot see this. Okay, let's add this one over here. I do want to get one side of it finished so that you can see. At the end, I like to do something smaller and interesting, and I'll show you what that is going to be. Let's see which side am I? And yes, I am shaky today. That's just my general state of being. And this is a very fine motor skill type of activity, so I'm going to use a skinnier jump ring for this one because that hole doesn't want to let me stick in that fatter one. This is also easier to do if you are sitting down and not standing in front of a camera. So anyways, I was starting to tell you where you can find buttons. Really, they're hiding everywhere. And you may, if you have a sewing stash, you may have some beautiful buttons in a color that you would love, a color and style that you would love already. So you should check to see what you have. I know when I started doing buttons, I went home to Boise to see my mom, and she wasn't sewing anymore. I cleaned her out. And she was glad to give those to me so that I could, you know, do something meaningful with them. Okay, I think we're going to need another skinny jump ring. So you could go every other chain, every 2 chain links, or every link. You can load your bracelets up with as many pieces of buttons as you want. And I'm looking at this thinking I definitely need some more buttons. So let me dig out some more mother of pearl. I got a bunch out here. So when I first counted, I had 17 buttons here. And I don't necessarily have to put it on every single chain, but okay, let me look up and see. Do you guys have questions? If you're enjoying this, if you think that your friends or family or whatnot would like making bracelets out of buttons, feel free to sprinkle. I would appreciate that. And this doesn't have to be an exact repeating pattern, because once you get the bracelet on, you will not notice if it's, okay, what's the deal here? There we go. All right, so look at how this is coming along. That's just one side of it. Isn't that pretty? When you get, let's go out to the end of it for a second. When you get out to the end, I love these little teeny white buttons that have a little teeny shank on them. And so I'm going to add one of those at the very end. And then I'm going to add some buttons that have interesting shapes. These are all linked together. And I am going to leave a couple of loops of links before you get to the very end, because if you put them too close to where the toggle is, it's hard to get your button bracelet closed. So I left 2 links that are not, don't have anything on it. Did I leave two? Yeah. And I have this really fun shape. I'm going to dig through my jar of silver buttons. I'm going to hold these other bracelets up in just a second and show you some of the variety that you can create depending on what colors you choose. So look, isn't that cute? Okay, so here's one that I made that I think is really fun. And this one I made with a combination of these mother of pearl with shanks. Some of these fun buttons, I think I only had 2 of those. I can't remember what this is called, but they're glass, I believe, and they're cut and polished. So I have a few different sizes and shapes of those. And then I just took some little jewelry beads like this right here and added some of those to it. This might be one that I was in process of taking apart because it doesn't have much on it, but look at these cute little end ones. So this is just a combination of red, black, silver, and a little sparkle. Like here's another one. This one, this is not a bracelet, this is a keychain doodad. And I just did it with a whole variety of different silver, you know, these look like army, you know, army jacket buttons. I did a whole variety of them. And then there's some of the gray mother of pearl, which I think is so pretty. And I just did it all on a chain, and then I put one of these little, these are called lobster clasps. Get my fingers out of the way. So, and this is not very long. It is from the top of the toggle down, it's like 8.5 inches. This one I love this one. This is kind of similar to what we're making today, except it has a bunch of the gray mother of pearl with toggles. And then it has these little nurse ones. It has a variety of silver. I think these came out of my mom's sewing stash. And then I added some little jewelry beads. I think they give a project a lot of charm to it. And then these are my 2. This one, I loved these orange beads. And so I did copper metal buttons. This is orange, I think this is Bakelite. And then I added a few little wooden style beads that are not old. And I added some little turquoise looking little pieces of jewelry, little beads to it. And this is what I did towards the end. I always like to do something little and fun at the end. This is my favorite. You know what? I distinctly remember purchasing these green buttons from a super nice lady at a yard sale 8, 9, 10 years ago here in my local area. And she said that I asked her when I went to the yard sale if she happened to have any buttons. And she said, oh, I think I do. And I said, but buttons that you don't think you're going to want to use. And so she brought out a box, and I grabbed every single green one that she had in different shades of green. And then these are called twinkles. It's like they have a little piece of, can you see that sparkly glass or something inside of them? They come all different sizes and shapes. This one might just be cut steel. Here's another twinkle. These I probably bought. I go to this thing called Lakewood Antique Market. It's in Cumming, Georgia, and it's once a month. It's not super far from where I live, and there's at least 100 different booths of vendors that have antiques and all kinds of different things. Super interesting. Anyways, there is a button lady there, and her name's Christine. I always go see her. She never remembers who I am, ever. And I have bought a lot of buttons from her. I've also bought a lot of buttons from my button friend, Debbie. This would be perfect for what I'm wearing today, don't you think? The one downside on these bracelets, or maybe it's an upside, depending on how you feel, is that they're noisy because they're, clanking. Let's see if I can get this on. There we go. And look at this last little piece that I put on. So this is the combination of greens and golds, and this one I just learned yesterday what the name of this style of a button is. And they come in different sizes. This is called a cricket cage, because it kind of looks like a cage. It's a round ball. Anyways. So that is basically how you would start to put together a button bracelet. You're going to need buttons, probably 20, now that I'm looking at mine, because I haven't made these in 8 or 10 years. 20, 22, 24, 26, depending on how full you like them. You can put them on every single chain link on your bracelet, or you can put a space in between them. You're going to need some type of chain to make your bracelet out of, and you can buy it like this also. This came from Joann's. You're going to need some jump rings, and what I liked about this package here is it was $3, but it has 3 different sizes of jump rings, which is good. And then you're going to need something to make a clasp. These are called toggle clasps, and there's 2 sizes here. So I got these 3 items. They're all this Hiedi and Joe brand, which I'm not familiar with that, really. I bought these from Joann's yesterday for $12. So, and there's enough in there to make several bracelets. So you could totally get started. And let me just point something else out to you. Don't look at my disastrous closet of buttons. You can use, these are the wood buttons that I purchased a few years ago at Walmart for like $6 or $8. They're great, you can use those. These are the orange buttons that I ordered on Amazon just recently to make that orange, where is it? I don't know where it is, a carrot design while we were in the Cayman Islands. So you could do something like this. You can find buttons on Etsy, at Amazon, in your own sewing closet, in your mom or sister's sewing closet, in your next door neighbors, in your best friends, in your Bible study teacher's, sewing stash. You can find buttons everywhere. They don't have to be 100 years old to be beautiful. If you want, you can go to antique malls, antique stores, flea markets, and you'll be able to find, you know, a good variety. Now, I'm frugal, but you probably knew that about me. And for these bigger ones, I don't like to pay more than $1 a piece. I have bought jars that were a mix of this right here. This came from Queen of Hearts. And I've used almost all of the really good ones out of here. I think it was $15 or $16, and it included the cute little jar. So you can buy, if you look, you can find them for not a fortune. All right, well, don't hesitate to ask questions if you have them. I'm going to get a picture of those 3 ingredients. I will work on this a little bit later today, get it all finished up, get pictures of it. Feel free to sprinkle. I see lots of people on. I hope you liked this. I hope it showed you that you are completely able to create something beautiful, even if it's the first time you've ever attempted making any kind of jewelry. The buttons are super forgiving, and especially if you use the ones that have a shank, like this, that thing right there, they're easy to get your jump rings in and out of those. Okay, have a blessed and wonderful rest of your day. I might see you this afternoon for another craft project, but in any case, I will finish this. I will get pictures of it, and I will put those here in the comments as well as just on DIY Dreaming. Thank you for joining me. Janine says the buttons are so pretty. Thank you. I would love to see what you make or have made, if you have made, you know, button jewelry. So go ahead and drop some pictures in here in these comments if you have made any kind of button jewelry, because it will inspire other people. And you know, I can make something if I can visualize it. And so your button jewelry is going to help other people visualize something and make it. You can also hop over to that free craft group that I created several years ago for all of us to share our craft projects in. It is called Dreamy DIY. DREAMY space DIY. If you type that in the search bar on Facebook, it'll bring you to the group. It's free. You do have to answer the 3 questions though. If you don't, my admin won't admit you to the group. So make sure that you do that. And they're just asking you, are you going to be nice to the other crafty people in there? Of course you are. Are you going to agree that you're not going to use that to try to sell anything? Of course. And do you agree that you won't share other crafters' videos into Dreamy DIY? Because then I get 100 questions of how Miss Barb from Shabby Tree did this or that, and I didn't even make the craft. So share your own projects, yes. Share ideas, pictures, things that you've seen, yes. Just don't share other crafters' videos. Okie dokie.